Adiel, welcome to the show. Hey, this is part two, so welcome back to the show, Adiel. Thank you so much for coming back.
It's a pleasure to be here, Brett.
And since it's part two, boy, we talked about so much your experience. What we're going on year 41 right now, so congratulations again on that. But the experience that you've put together through these years, and it's been compounding, and you've been putting back not only into your own portfolio but into the portfolio of others, helping others get to where they want to go. And I'm so excited to talk about a couple of new topics today. But before we get there, Adiel, just tell the new listeners, maybe didn't catch that last episode, just a little bit about you, and tell me a little bit about the investment strategy, where we're at right now.
Well, in a short summary, my background is actually all in high tech. I was living in Palo Alto, California. I taught electrical engineering and computer science at the university, got my first job in Silicon Valley. They paid me much more than Stanford did. And I noticed that my veteran, I was very young. I noticed my veteran colleagues who I thought would be very wealthy after decades of working, and getting paid so much, were actually not. So because my family was in real estate development, I saw the power as a kid, started buying rental homes, realized I couldn't really buy them well in the Bay area in Silicon Valley because the rents were too low relative to the home prices. I did something that was very unusual for the 1980s. I went out of state, started buying in Las Vegas where the ratio between rent and price was much better. And I bought a few dozen homes for myself. I had to establish a local property management firm because I was living in California, obviously, and local brokers to find me homes. Pretty soon, my logical Silicon Valley friends wanted to join in, but they were so busy, they asked me to lead them. So we bought several hundred homes in Las Vegas, not as a group, each one bought their own homes, but we discovered that when a person joined and bought a home, he or she enjoyed the clout, the power, so to speak, of hundreds of homes, because the managers didn't want to lose hundreds of homes if they were not happy. And I started liking it a lot, started getting invited to speak about it because it was so unusual. In one of the lectures, there was a reporter for the San Francisco paper. There was an article. I was invited to the morning news, NBC. I started liking it so much, and I saw I was changing my own future, as well as the future of all my friends in Silicon Valley, and many doctors and lawyers, and usually professionals, but even teachers and nurses and truck drivers, because I went to affordable cities. And finally, I liked it so much, I left my high-tech life, started our company, and this is year 41, and my investors bought more than 10,000 homes in about 30 markets. I could have retired very powerfully with a lot of houses at age 42. Today I'm 71. So 29 years, I could have been retired, not retired, because I have the message of the 30-year fixed rate loan. The Americans were born into it. They think it's normal. But when I speak in Europe, the Europeans go gaga. They don't believe me. They said, "You're insane. It's not possible. 40 years ago, you bought a postage stamp for 4 cents. Now it's 72 cents. 40 years ago, you bought a ticket to a movie for $2. Now it's $15. You go to Whole Foods, you buy an avocado for $3. In 10 years, you know it's going to be $6. And in the midst of all this, somebody's crazy enough to give you a loan that will never move and everything else does. Inflation will become your best friend, build your wealth. And by the way, if the rates go down, on top of all the crazy stuff, you can refinance it down. It's too. When I speak, sometimes there's a little voice in my head that says, "Come on, this is too good to be true." But it's true. Well, here is a story of my doctor friend. He started buying in his early 40s. He bought just one home because he needed to see that the property managers really take care of all the rental and the hassle, because he was too busy. He was working as a specialist physician. And when he saw that it worked, he understood what I explained about the 30-year fixed rate loan. Also, he wanted to stretch his money, so he put minimal down payments with a big loan that covered most of the house price. And he ended up buying 22 homes. By the way, it's not as impressive as it sounds. At the time he was buying them, They were brand new homes for $150,000 with little money down. For a doctor, it was not a hard thing to do. And then he looked at them in his mid-50s. All his loans, 22 of them, had 17 years left, not even halfway. But he noticed that even though they started out as a high percentage of the home values, after 13 years in his case, they were all roughly 25% of the loan value. So first of all, he was very happy because he had millions of dollars in equity. Then he sold 5 homes. He didn't do anything fancy, no 1031 tax, deferred exchanges. Just sold and paid his tax. Used the proceeds to pay off the remaining small 17 loans. And with 17 free and clear houses, retired from being a doctor in his 50s, and he's my good friend, and I decided not to retire. He always bothers me. Oh, let's go on a trip. Let's go. Hey, I'm working. Risky is a relative term. And when I say negative, even back then at 14%, the prices were so much lower than they are now. The negatives were in the 100 to 200 a month. And somebody making a big Silicon Valley salary, or like many of my doctors and lawyers, even teachers, the risk is minimal because we are carrying a big shortage of housing in this country since 2008. The population keeps growing. People need places to live. So the rents are there, and with inflation, the rents go up. And so if you buy a house now and you put 20% down payment, which is a norm, some people even put 25, you are going to start today with the current rates, probably either with slightly positive cash flow, maybe 100 or 200 a month, maybe around break even, maybe slightly negative, 100 or 200 a month. For a doctor, for a lawyer, for a Silicon Valley person, it's completely negligible. The risk is very minimal because there is a big shortage of good, nice new homes in the suburbs to rent. So the demand for rental is very high. You can call it a risk. I don't see it as a risk. And the rent constantly keeps up with inflation, just like the cost of shirts and shoes and the tomatoes and the avocado rents also. But your mortgage never changes. And again, if the rates go down, you refinance, it becomes very positive. The way to look at it is like this. This will completely change your financial future, but not in one day, not in 1 month, and not in 1 year. In 12 to 14 years, your loan is going to be like a joke, and your equity will be huge. So in the first year or 2 or 3, don't expect the property to buy you food, to charge your car. No, that comes from your salary, from your business. But as the years go by, the house gives you more and more and more and more money. And between 12 and 14, you can make it so you don't even have a mortgage anymore, depending on what you did. And now you can even retire. So, I mean, you don't have to buy many homes. Even people who bought 1 home. See, I've been doing it, this is year 41. So people tell me, I've seen the results are in. Thousands of people. Even people who bought 1, 2, 3 homes, they say, oh my God. The extra cash flow that I now get after 12 years makes a huge difference in the life of my family. Right now, the Phoenix market is too high, meaning the prices went up faster than the rents. Vegas, same thing. Texas is starting to come back. We bought more than 1,000 homes in Dallas before, stopped buying there. In the state of Texas, the property tax is very high. So it didn't work. But recently, because the prices are lower, the rents are higher, it's working. So in Dallas, Texas, DFW, it's coming back. Raleigh-Durham, our most expensive market. So in Oklahoma, in Mobile, Alabama, in Dallas, you can buy homes for $250,000, brand new. They will rent in Oklahoma for probably $1,600 or $1,700 a month with very low property taxes. In DFW, they will rent for maybe $2,100, $2,200 a month with higher property taxes, but it doesn't matter, it's the same. The most expensive market is Raleigh-Durham, where they will go from the high 200s to the mid to high 300s. Yes? So there the cash flow is going to be slightly worse, but everybody loves Raleigh. But these are the numbers. And if the builder buys down the rate, We have a builder in DFW and in another market in Texas, which we are bringing back as well, once again, into the mid fours. When you say appreciation, I don't even need appreciation to change your life, because once you fully get that somebody was crazy enough to give you a loan that will never move, except down if you want to, everything else goes up with inflation. Inflation is your best buddy, building your wealth all the time. I don't need appreciation. So, when you buy an avocado, a beautiful, organic, avocado at Whole Foods right now, $3. You and I know it's very likely that in 10 years, maybe it'll be $6. The avocado. Are the economists going to say, there has been appreciation in the avocado sector? Really? It's inflation. Inflation. So when the house doubles in value, you want to call it appreciation? You want to call it inflation? I live in the Bay Area. In my neighborhood, a good house will be more than $2 million. 30 years ago, you could have bought it for $150,000. So some of it can be called appreciation. Some of it is merely inflation. The postage stamp used to be 4 cents. Now it's 72 cents. So much higher. Was there an appreciation in postage? Inflation. Inflation is enough. If you have appreciation on top of it, cherry on top. The United States, besides the absolute craziness called the 30-year fixed rate loan, we have another craziness. The step-up basis. Let me explain it very quickly in very, very simplified words to make my point. I'm gonna, ignore closing costs and commissions. I'm just gonna make it simple. So let's say you bought a house long ago for $100,000. If you try to sell the house the next day, you'll pay tax on let's say you sell it for $100,000 the next day. I'm ignoring all commissions and closing, just to make it simple. You'll pay tax on $100,000 minus the basis. But you bought the house yesterday, the basis is $100,000. So you'll pay tax on $100,000 minus $100,000, zero. You don't pay any taxes. Now let's say you kept the house for a long time, long time. You depreciate it all the time. It's a rental home. So the basis keeps going down. And let's say the basis has already gone to zero. It goes to zero, by the way, 27 and a half years. It went to zero. And the house is now worth $1 million. Not very uncommon. We've seen it all over. So now you have $1 million home with a zero basis. If you sell the home, you'll have to pay tax on $1 million. Again, I'm ignoring the closing costs and the commission, minus the basis. You'll have to pay tax on $1 million. That's a big tax. Now, one day, when you get to be 160 years old, hopefully, you die. We all do at some point. On the day of your death, the basis steps up to the value of the home on that day. So in our example, you passed away, the home is worth $1 million, let's say. The basis will go to $1 million. The day after you die, your children want to sell the home, they will pay tax on $1 million minus the new stepped up basis, $1 million. Zero tax. That is why I have investors who are starting to buy homes with us in their, are you ready? 80s.
Yes.
There's a retired physician who saw my friend who used to work with her, the physician who retired at 50 something. And she had seen the step up basis when her spouse had passed. So she was aware of that. She started investing with us at 84. She's 88 now, still buying. The stepped up basis. So it's never too late.